All right, this week we're dealing with complex fractions, and we're also dealing with proportions, which basically means if it's proportional, it means the fraction is equal, and I'll show you what that means here. We've got 1/3 divided by 1/8. In order to do these, we have to keep change and flip. We have to say 1/3 times 8 over 1, which is 8 over 3, and then we have to convert this into a mixed number. So the 8 will go in the house. We got the 3 on the outside. This will go in here twice. We'll have a remainder of 2, and that 2 will go over the 3. Answer's 2 2/3 here. Okay. Well, Mrs. Chapman made a vest for cast members. She used 3/4 of a yard of material for each vest, and then she used 6 yards in all. How many vests did she make? So basically we got to take 6 and divide it by 3/4. So we'll have 6 divided by 3 over 4, which we'll have to convert this to a fraction because that makes that easier for us. 6 over 1 divided by 3 over 4, and we have to keep the order. It's very important we do that. Because if we're not, we'll get it wrong. Then we have to keep, change, and flip. And that's going to leave us with 24 over 3, and that is going to be 8 vests. Number 3, we are going to divide this, a couple of these like this, and I'm just going to do one of them. Just remember the order is important. But we have a mixed number here, so we have to convert this. I'm going to cover the answers here up. We have to convert that to a improper fraction. So we got 7 over 16 divided by, this is going to be 16 plus 3 is 19 over 8. Well, we don't just multiply across. This is division, so we have to keep, change, and flip, or multiply by the reciprocal. So it's going to be 7 over 16 times 8 over 19. And this will be 56, but I've got to do this longhand. So I got 19 times 16. It's going to be 54. Carry my 5. 6 plus 5 is 11. I got 0 here and then 19 here. That's going to leave me with 4. 0, carry the 1. 304 over 56. And looks like that will, I may have to simplify this several different times. It looks like that's going to convert to a looks like it's going to be 7 over something. Let's see, 7 will go into here, or 8 will go in here 7 times. How many times will 8 go into 304? Let's see, 304 8. Let's see, what is that? 3 24, 64, that's going to go in there 8 times. So it's going to be 7 over 38. Number 4, which complex fraction is equivalent to 8.15%? 8.15%. Well, anytime you have something like this, it's going to be divided by something. And so first we would have to convert. I tell you what, I think I want us to do this one in class together. So let's do number 4 in class together. Kelly had a ribbon that was 5 1/3 feet long. Each piece she cut was 1 1/3 feet long. How many pieces of ribbon did she cut? Well, again, we're going to have to divide here. We're going to say, let's see, 5 1/3 divided by 1 1/3. So we're going to have to convert this to a mixed number. It's going to be 16 over 3 divided by 4 over 3. Then, of course, we're going to have to multiply by the reciprocal, which is going to be 16 over 3 times 3 over 4. And so what we're going to have on bottom here is 12, and looks like we're going to have a 48 on top. And 48 over 12, if we put 48 in the house, is going to equal 4. Number 6, we've done like that before. And number 7 is exactly the same. What's the value of the following expression? And which quotient is less than 1? Well, what you'll have to do is just simply keep changing, flip all these, and figure out which one has an answer of less than 1. Now, in math class, given this sort of fraction right here, well, what does that mean? I've been asking you all year, what operation is being performed in a fraction? Well, we have a fraction over a fraction. We probably haven't seen that before. But all that simply means is this. If we've got, and I'm going to rewrite it here, 5 over 6 divided by 4 over 9. And if we've got that here, all that means is 5 over 6 divided by 4 over 9. And then all we have to do is execute this. When we would say 5 over 6, we're going to keep that, change this to multiplication, and say 9 over 4. In which case, we're going to have 45 over 24. And then we would, make sure my math is right. Oops. Oh, that's right. Now, the 45 goes in the house. The 24 goes on the outside. This is going to go in here one time without going over. I have a remainder of 21. So we're going to be left with 1 and 21 over 24, which is going to reduce to, let's see, I think 3 will go into both of those. So 1 and 7 over 8, and you can't reduce that anymore. So we're saying this divided by this. We rewrite it like this. Remember, the top dog is the one being divided, so we say 5 over 6 divided by 4 over 9, and then go from there. Bear with me while I turn the page. Next, we're simply going to be talking about proportional relationships, or some relationship to another being proportional. Right now, I just want you to worry about the actual numbers. I want you to worry about the actual numbers, and then later on we'll do some word problems. And remember, we did this in class, but what value of x makes this proportion true? I tell you what, I think I'm just going to convert these to your paper here. That'll make it a lot easier for you. And again, this week you're going to have to kind of keep up with what numbers are what, because I haven't put together your review yet. But again, what value of x makes this proportion true? 14 over 20. Let me start all over. 14 over 20 equals 56 over x. Well, remember, if a relationship or if a fraction is equivalent or if it's proportional, when we cross multiply, we have to get the same answer. And so what you need to look for first is, well, which ones here will give me an actual answer? And what you need to do is then cross multiply. Well, here, this one's easy. We'll say 20 times 56 equals 1120. Well, in order for this to be proportional, this times this has to equal 1120 as well. So what we have here is 20 times 56 equals 1120. If that is the case, then this times this has to be 1120. How do we say 14 times x? Algebraically, we simply say 14x. And we're left with 14x equals 1120. And we learned a few weeks ago how to solve for x. That's all you have to do now to find out what x actually is. So we divide both sides by 14. This cancels this out, and we're left with x equals 1120 over 14. We would simply divide that And just take my word for it, the answer is going to be 80. So x will equal 80. And that's all we do with those. You basically have to set both of those multiplication, they have to be equal to one another. Now on number 4 here, which pair of ratios does not form a true proportion? When you see this right here and this, all that means, all you have to do is convert that to a fraction. 8 over 14, 20 over 35. Okay? So let me just ask you, is 8 to 14 proportional to 20 to 35? Yes or no? Well, let's convert this to a fraction. Are these proportional? Well, how do we find out? We simply cross multiply. If we get the same answer, then it absolutely is proportional. For example, let me do a simple one. 1/2, 1/2. Well, you can look at those and say, well, yes, of course, Mr. Camp, those do equal. But let's just cross multiply to check, make sure. This is 2, and this is 2. Therefore, these are equal. And the same thing would be true with 10 over 20 and 1/2. Are those proportional? Well, we can look at that and tell that that will convert or reduce down to a half, but 20 over 20. Well, let's try a little bit more complicated one. What is 14 times 20? That's going to be 280. All right, well, let's check the other one. What is 35 times 8? It is 280 as well. Therefore, if this equals 1, or you have the same number over the same number, these are proportional. Okay. Let's try another one. 1/2, 2/3. Are these proportional? In other words, if I cross multiply them, do they equal? Well, let's go ahead and multiply 2 by 2. That's 4. 1 times 3 is 3. These do not equal, therefore they are not proportional. They're not equivalent fractions, in other words. All right, and we'll do some more in class.